Welcome to the just after 1 o'clock work session of the Cleveland City Council for today, Monday, February the 9th. We will begin our work session. We have special presentations and public comments. Mr. Fivas, I believe you have an introduction.
We do, and Robert, you want to do that? We have a new employee that we want to introduce you that you'll probably see around, and Robert will give you the 411.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to introduce quickly Jay Miller, newest member of my planning team. He comes to us by way of the Atlanta area, kind of sandwiched between Atlanta and Athens, working in Eastern Gwinnett and living over in Athens. He is a Georgia guy, and we'll forgive him for that. But his background is in landscaping and that kind of work, and has several degrees that are going to benefit us. So I just want to introduce Jay. You'll see him around and part of our team, and we're happy to have him here. Took us a little while to get it done, but here we are. So, Jay, thank you for coming along. And
thank you.
These people are who we work for, and all the people that they represent. So,
He can introduce himself.
yeah, if you've got something you want to say.
He's not going to get in the way of that.
Nothing much. Just I was a city planner for about 4 years, and then went over to the private side and did land planning and landscape architecture. So, kind of know both worlds, and excited to be back in the public sector. So,
Jay, we're happy to have you.
Thank
I
you.
happen to have been in the Atlanta metro area this weekend.
Okay.
My dad took me to see the new downtown city of Lawrenceville.
oh yeah, it's crazy.
So if you have any friends over there,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we want to look like.
Yeah, I agree.
Unbelievable.
It is.
And the urban housing and the revitalization of that. Joe doesn't know it yet, but I took about 50 pictures on my phone
Nice.
legally. I was not driving, and I actually my plan was to say, I think we need a field trip to Lawrenceville.
Absolutely.
So welcome to the team.
Thank you.
It can be the chaperone for the trip.
Lawrenceville here. I just
Great.
said, make that happen.
Good,
We'll do it. He can be the chaperone. So.
and we'll get some Foggy Bottom barbecue. That's what I had.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Welcome. All right, it is that was our one special presentation, was to introduce Jay Miller. Jay, welcome to the team. Any public comments? Anyone seeking? Anyone except Hal Taylor seeking to address the city council? Kidding, he's my friend. Commissioner, welcome. We're always honored to have our colleagues and counterparts from the county commission. I heard you had a record short meeting this morning.
We did. Sure.
I wish we could follow suit, but there's some things we don't want to do.
That's right.
We're always happy to have you, Commissioner. And without anyone else seeking to address the council this morning, we'll go straight to the city manager's report. Mr. Fivas, good morning. Well, good afternoon now. Tells you what kind of day I've had.
So can I ask one question before we get started for you, please?
Absolutely.
I wish that the city planning engineer would work with the council a little bit closer when we're getting a new restaurant in town. You know, out there on Lee Highway, I got a lot of calls on the getting a new restaurant in, so I wasn't aware of it at the time, so anything y'all can share with me, I would appreciate it on that part.
I'm not sure
Red
what,
Lobster, it had a sign out there saying Red Lobster's coming.
Heard about that. Yeah, but the just kidding at the bottom of the sign is what
Oh.
everybody
You gotta read the fine print. I had quite a few calls, people calling
Same.
about that.
Same.
So thank you so much, Mr. Goff, on that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting weekend.
Great PR to get people on your website
Thank
to
you.
see
I
what
appreciate
you're going
that.
with your new company that you're starting up for the real estate company. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, thank you.
So that's all I had. I just wanted to take it.
you did a good job with that.
I told him, I said, please don't do that again.
I think it's great. Somebody has a sense of humor and does something like that. I think it's great. We're too serious sometimes. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's all I had. I'm just picking at him a little bit.
Mr. Mayor and city council members, minus Tom. Anyway, want to go over some of the list of the open projects that we have, and I'm going to try to go through them fairly quickly. It's not supposed to be the end all be all of every nook and cranny of these stuff, but if you see a project that you have more particular questions on, just stop me and go through that. You do have a copy in front of you. First one is the Paul Huff Parkway and Atkinson Roadway. We are trying to get the some right of way from this Wendy's people, and I think Jonathan, you talked with Brian. Are we getting closer?
A little bit, yeah.
So that project is in the pipeline. It's just been getting right of way has been difficult. I think we're in the process. That intersection right now is okay, but as far as dealing with the new culvers and some of that is that there certainly needs to be some improvements. This intersection would include, new mast arms and, a couple new lanes, widening on both sides. So as soon as we get that right away that we need, we'll come back and kind of give you our schedule for when that should happen. Yes, sir.
One real question, extra drive to Cleveland State. Where is it? We at in the process of that? Widen the road on the right-hand side?
I think it's the next slide.
Okay. I haven't looked at it. I'm sorry.
Atkinson Sidewalk and Stormwater Project.
Okay. All right, we'll get
We've gone through that. Phase 1 will completed this summer on that, which is a short section coming from this way from Cleveland State towards Paul Huff. And then the other section will be done probably in continuation of the project that we just had, as far as the intersection project of making sure that everything interconnects through there. There are some storage units that are being constructed. They'll build their section of sidewalk and we'll connect into that. And we'll have this whole area connected all the way down. Part of our design is to also bring some level of sidewalks down in front of all of those hotels on frontage, all the way down to the entrances at Target. We have a lot of people that park and kind of frogger across that road, and the walking infrastructure there isn't as strong as what we'd want it to be. So all of that would be combined in this project and the project, the frontage intersection project. 25th Street and West Side. There's actually some sidewalk that's supposed to be that the developer will put in on that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So we're going to be working with that developer to try to connect their piece off West Side Drive and take that piece and then connect it to the intersection at Georgetown. We made a major improvement to Georgetown 4 or 5 years ago. It really helped the traffic. But as far as the other sections of the intersection, we need to go back and improve those and probably put up mast arms at that as well. But we've been really waiting for the J-turn project to see if what impact that J-turn project would have with that intersection. David Shealy went last week to talk to TDOT on that project, and I'll give you a little bit of an update on that. And it looks like they're ready to bid that as soon as this next fall. And then we have the designs. So now that we kind of have the designs on what they're looking at, it allows us to design the intersection and West Side sidewalk connecting all the way down to Norman Chapel. It's very important. We have a number of new housing units. You have the new housing development that's going in, as you know, on West Side Drive. Not only the previous one, but there's the new one, but also there's a need to connect in a lot of those apartments to a lot of the restaurants there on that area. I see a question.
Does that include the new lanes at the intersection itself on the west side? The lengthening of some of the lanes.
Let us get a design for that. Again, we've held off on designing it because we wanted to get the final to see how much the J turn, because I believe on the J turn that they have, because you're limiting left-hand turns, is that you're going to have some U-turn access around that.
Yes.
So before we designed anything, we wanted to understand what all that was.
Just keep in mind that it's extremely congested at certain times.
It
on the
does.
west side.
I mean, off the top of my head, that having some level of a dedicated right-hand turn lane so that you can kind of slip through there, and a lot of the people that want to go straight can, or go left, can be in that other lane, is if you can get rid of some of that traffic and go back there. But we haven't designed that or done that. So Mouse Creek widening and paving. We've started some engineering on this, on what would it take to essentially fill in the ditches along both sides of this road, and then control the water and get it to where it goes to. Is that we think we can add 4 or 5 feet of pavement on this thing, on the street, which would make it much more safe. And maybe do some left-hand turn lanes at some of the intersections, and the council has designated that. So we're working on where to start that project. And what our engineers tell us is that we would actually start at the bottom of that. It kind of comes downhill. So we would work up towards the soccer complex on that, and we would probably do that over a 2 or 3 year period of chunking it and have certain projects in there. Once our engineers have a design, we'll certainly share that with the council to make sure we have alignment on what the final design should look like.
Do you think you'll be able to use some stormwater funds?
We'll use a lot of stormwater funds. Yeah, that's a viable use for that. Cleveland Gateway and sidewalk improvements. This goes along with the J-turn project as well, is that having a sidewalk, we have the 2 state projects that will build a 10-foot multipath from Georgetown Road all the way down to Key Street on the right-hand side of the road going towards Key Street. Those projects are weaving their way through TDOT, and to have that, we will build a sidewalk that will not only give a better entrance to the city instead of having a ditch section, is that you'll have curb with a grass space with a nice sidewalk as you come off the ramp and there, but that will go down underneath I-75, and we have to figure out how to get that to Candy's Lane, and we would like to connect it in with the sidewalks over on Candy's Lane eventually. But just all the aesthetics, but also the pedestrian access, and just figuring out this section of road from I-75 down, especially with this big J-turn, because you have several things going on this corridor. You have the J-turn project. You have we would call it a stormwater project, but essentially the end effect is that it widens the intersection at Peerless and 25th Street, which that should start in the next 2 or 3 months. So that will be widened, and that will have more access involved in that. And we will probably try to do something on the other side, because we do get congestion over by the Wendy's at times, and redo that intersection. There's also a fairly decent size development going in where the ACE is right now. So all of that is being coordinated with the J-turns, with the new intersection at Georgetown, with the west side sidewalk. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, and the 2 state projects to build sidewalk all the way down through there. So all of those things impact each other, and not to mention there's fairly significant stormwater work that has to be done with the Peerless 25th Street project on doing some diagonal lines, and basically we're gonna sleeve some of those to get them to work better. But so there's a lot going on in these intersections. So these are all small projects, all for one big corridor improvement eventually. Any questions on that? The Inman purchase, we're working on that. Their building should get here anytime, and it's just a matter of time on putting that together and getting that trade so that site can be redeveloped. There's multiple people that we've talked to that are interested in that property, and I think that's a good thing. Central Avenue, we're trying to coincide these improvements to, we did the phase 1 last year, which is on the other side of the railroad track, and we'll do this side of the railroad track. We're trying not to redo it until a lot of the heavy cement trucks and all of that get out of the way for the Lee University engineering building. So we will coordinate that as far as trying to get that in place about the same time as the engineering building is being constructed. Cherokee renovation. They've made a lot of progress in the last 8 weeks. And we'll probably start showing yourself and people in the community. Now they probably have some things that they're doing. They're laying some tile, they're laying some floor, they're doing some improvements in there. We think that the council building could be done as soon as April or May for a somewhat of a finished product. That's not guaranteeing that, but that's kind of what the schedule is indicated. And we're working to help facilitate that, and everything else is coming along all right as far as that. We're working with them on the schedule. We've told them, because of the federal money, that our drop dead date is September 1st, but we would certainly like it much earlier. The contract date on it is still about April. So the contract date is on April. We would like to have it in July. Our last day that we would accept it is in September. So those are kind of the timelines for stuff. And we will, seeing that there's more going on, they're working on the coffered ceiling in the lobby. And so I think there's some real tangible things for people to see in the near future. The Jetport hangar construction project hasn't started yet, but we're waiting on that, and that will build 10 new hangars out at the Jetport, which are desperately needed. So this is the MMA 25th multi-path project. This is an approved grant. The great thing about this is that the state pays for 95% of this. Robert's been working. Sometimes these MMA projects can be slower, which they've showed that that's the case. And they were tethered to the J project for a while, and I think they've kind of broken that. So this may come a little bit after the J-turn project. But I think that that will certainly improve pedestrian access, but it will certainly, from an aesthetic standpoint, I think really improve our entrance to the community. This is the sister project. This is from Peerless. See, the other one was from Georgetown to Peerless, and this is from Peerless to Key Street. This is called the Transportation Alternatives Project, and it's kind of out there. And this one's probably a little bit ahead of the MMA project. This is 80-10. State pays for 80% of it, or 80-20, and we would pay for 20% of it. It's not that large of a project, but that's out there on getting done. The Starbucks connector, which is also called phase 6.
Joe, can I
Yeah.
go back to the 25th Street multi-path project?
Yeah.
The transportation alternative, which side of 25th Street? Is that on what we used to call the Ace Hardware side where the big gully is, or is that on the Windy side?
It's on the windy side.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I think they're getting right away right now, Robert.
Very close to it, yes.
Yeah.
So there's no chance of jumping the street and getting that, building it on top of that open gully that needs to be safely closed and covered?
Not on that project, at least.
Growing up in Cleveland, I remember cars literally sitting in that gully. It's gotta be a safety concern on somebody's radar.
When we see TDOT, we'll mention it to him next.
Fair enough.
This project, we are in the right-of-way connection, or the right-of-way phase of the Starbucks connector, is that we have a team out there acquiring this right-of-way, and they're working on that as we speak. And once they get that right-of-way acquired, which I think is like 3 or 4 parcels, then we'll go to construction and be able to complete that last section from Willow into the downtown, which is strategically very important. Peerless Road repaving project. This is repaving Peerless from Paul Huff all the way to Georgetown, so across the interstate. It's an MPO. We do that so that the state pays 80% of our costs on repaving. That's about $1 million project, or will be when we finally get to that. That project has been initiated. The Free Will Road project is in the same way, is that's probably a little bit smaller because the county had recently paved a section of Free Will Road, but that one is out there to look at. Mouse Creek Road paving this goes hand in hand with the Mouse Creek widening, is that our goal is to widen Mouse Creek effectively over the next couple years, and then time it like we did in our downtown project in Inman Street. And once we get our construction done out there to the soccer complex, then the state will pay at least 80% to pave all the way from the soccer complex all the way down past Paul Huff and all the way down to Keith. So all of that needs to be paved, and all of it is probably one of the biggest needs we have in the community right now. So that's why we actually moved up a lot of the Mouse Creek project so that we could meet this timeline of getting this funding in. And that's a huge paving job, obviously several miles. State project, 25th Street and Accoy Street. They are in the right-of-way phase. They are purchasing right-of-way. And I think, as we've discussed before, they did make some really important changes, which I have that documentation. I think I can share that with anybody, mayor, there on what they ended up doing. Essentially, I think they made the changes that we requested. I think that, we always want more, but I think we are very thankful to them, and it probably will be let sometime, hopefully later this year, and you would have a construction period sometime in 27. And that construction will undoubtedly be awful. For motorists on trying to do that, it'll be very complicated on working through there, because there aren't many other ways to reroute people coming off the bypass, but it has to be done, and we're getting prepared for that. Here's the J-turn project. Like we said, that will be let in right now. The plan is, on what TDOT said, is for this to be let in their public process in October of 26, and then they would begin construction probably in 27 at the same time. 25th Street and Peerless Stormwater Project. This is actually that project I talked about at Peerless, that they're the culvert there has some damage and needs to be repaired. And so we're taking this opportunity. The good thing about this is other people's money. This is the federal government's money that we're spending on this, on fixing this. So that's a major assistance for us. The FTA bus stop, I think we had that question in the last couple meetings. Oh, it was Kim, is that we have, I think, about $150,000 in FTA grants.
Yeah.
So we need to do these. My understanding, we need to find the locations, and Robert, you guys are looking for locations, working with Kuwats
And private property owners.
and private property owners for locations on where to put these. And once we find locations, the city would be responsible probably for building the foundation of it or the floor of that. And then you just buy these shelters and just place them on that. I think we're probably 20 years too late, or not late, but that we should have some of these out there. The key that I've told Robert is we need to pick locations that will not change. The reason that you don't do that is they change their schedules, and then that creates problems. And so we're trying to work with them on that as well.
Is there any pushback to doubling their use also as school bus stops? If QLATs and the school had the same spot?
Yeah.
Because in the second district, I know it'd be a lot safer, a couple, like Wilson, Aurora, Blythe Avenue and 13th. There's a couple spots that make a lot of sense.
Yep.
Just keep that in mind. It'd be great. I know Hal's here and he's hearing the same thing and nodding his head.
Once
So.
we cement location, we'll get with Hal and see which one will work best for him. Any of them, once they're built, can be utilized, as long as, we can coordinate times, but that's, yeah.
Thanks.
That's a good thought.
When the time comes, are y'all gonna bring us designs for the stop?
You'll have to approve them, yes. Yeah, so what would happen is we would say, here's the 5 or 6 that we've decided on, here's the locations, you would see those, and then we'd have to go out to bid and do them, and you guys would obviously approve the bids. So there,
So what I'm reading here is 10 to 1,000, so it's about 20,000 per bus stop, correct? The total cost of it.
yeah, that cost is probably 4 years old, so it's probably like double now.
Okay, I'm just curious if we add on later on what the cost would be on that part. That's what I'm asking.
And my first thought goes to, you mentioned negotiating with private property owners. Are there spaces and places that it would be more advantageous to put them in public right-of-ways or utility right-of-ways rather than having to deal with the added expense of private partner or private ownership?
The answer to that is absolutely, and we're maximizing as much right-of-way use as we can. There are areas where these will be highly utilized that are 40-foot right-of-ways, very tight areas, and we're looking at trying to minimize the outside impacts as much as possible. The other thing is, and when you have something like this, there is advertising opportunities to help pay for the maintenance and ongoing upkeep of it, because these transit stops are in specific locations going by specific businesses. It's a good opportunity for them to say, hey, and so there is some, I wouldn't call it income, but there is some recouping that can happen that will, because our responsibility will be for the upkeep of these long term.
So like you have a major manufacturer that relies on getting their workforce.
Yeah, now hiring or whatever it is. So those opportunities, you can see it right there. That one's not shown as an advertisement on the far side, but that space can be used for a route map and other uses like that. That's kind of what we're looking at for long term project management and taking care of these things.
Don't go too far.
Okay.
And with this is we're not ready to make any public announcements, but we think that the Kuwat Center will be relocating, and we're pretty confident of that. And that may change their route systems, don't you think, Robert?
I'm sorry.
If you change where the Kuwat's location,
Yeah, it's gonna, that needs to be determined before we finalize everything. And that's
so
logistic.
so all of this is probably one of the reasons why this has been delayed,
Yes,
because
yes.
you don't want to create a whole map and then change where their central hub is and then restart over. Go ahead.
Where are they relocated, Jim?
We don't know yet.
You don't know.
Would it be still a city match reimbursable for the grant if we combined emergency stations with these stops, you know, like the blue light with a emergency number or phone, or is that an option?
Yeah, I think all that's on the table. I mean, is that a possibility?
I think,
I told you not to go
I
far.
know. So I think I understand your question is, including those, within it. And so, I mean, those are options we look at, any transit system, will have some level of, emergency outreach to it. And so that would be included within it. That adds to the cost of each one. But one thing we can do is the FTA is, we show good examples where we build 5 or 8 or whatever it ends up being, 10 of these, and our plan is to go back and ask to build another 5 or 10 or 8, whatever that number is, and to the point where we have a whole system of them. But as opposed to committing to a local match all at once, we wanted to kind of put it together as we went. The other component on this that was alluded to is we're adding some routes. We're looking at adding 2 routes, and then making sure that our existing routes are correct. So before we invest in infrastructure on those routes, we want to make sure we're going to the right places and where we're adding to. But all of that's a part of it. Yeah. Mhm.
Did that answer your question, Dwayne?
Yes.
Joe, will those be mainly like Paul Huff to Emmons Street, or are they gonna go on out to Industrial, APU 40? Do we know? Are we looking at those areas, or?
We get a lot of ridership. Obviously the more density you have where people live, you want to get people from where people live to where they want to go. Usually people will want to go either to a grocery store or pharmacy or whatever that is, or to work. And so you'll probably get a little bit of both. You'll get in where you have higher densities of people that may be your higher user. And I think there's probably some analysis that needs to be done with the ridership on where are they picking people up and where those hubs will be at and where are they going. And those are probably your highest priorities as far as
I'm kind of
going.
thinking about the industrial park out there, people get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You may have one out there at the industrial park. You may have one at Whirlpool, or maybe other locations, and then you have some of your higher density housing that you may have some, but you also may have something at whatever grocery store we choose to send them to. But those are the right questions, and when Robert brings back a plan, I'm sure that's what you guys will evaluate. Are these the right locations? And it won't be Robert, it will be Mary from Kuwat's or whoever in here talking about all of that. You have something else?
No, that's
Tinsley, we talked a little bit at the last meeting. It's really coming together. Probably our next meeting will probably bring you some aerials of flyovers and show you some of that. The buildings are taking shape, and I think that we're on target to open up by that May 1st timeline. we're working very hard to make that. Now, there, as we discussed before, there will be a short amount of time that there will be limited access. We've worked with the schools a little bit because they have their tennis season, as they will still be able to have their tennis practice, when we'll coordinate with them on when we do that. And I can't remember when the end date of that was.
April, 1st April.
Yeah, I think that. So we've been coordinating with the schools to make sure that they can go through their tennis season.
What's the end date with it, Jonathan? I've just got a text from somebody saying, what's
It's May 1st. Our goal is our goal is to get it open by May 1st. And really important is that we need to have everything done before the swimming season starts, because things start backing up on us if the people from the swim teams can't get in from there. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah, our biggest unknown, that parking lot's in bad shape. We hit bad soil, that, let's hope we don't.
Regarding,
for asphalt?
regarding Tinsley, I was actually asked last week, is the plan on the pool to kind of let that kind of slowly fade into non-existence once we have a aquatic complex in place in a few years, or, I know it's in rough shape.
I think I don't want to get too far in front of the council. I think that that will be something that y'all will have to work through. There is you can certainly keep on using it until it stops. I mean, it's still a 50-meter pool, and it's outside of there, it still operates and works. Pools usually have a lifespan of about 40 to 50 years, and after that, they don't work. And we're right at that 45-year time limit. So there's a time available where your concrete starts splitting, and you just have major malfunctions in almost any pool. You can look at it. So we can keep on using it, and then we would identify how to repurpose that space up there. And we haven't gone through that whole exercise at this point. Jim Sharp Park. This picture doesn't do it justice. It looks great sitting out there, closed, with all the people playing in it.
Are we putting a liner in that pond?
Yeah. Tell us what we need to know about that.
No, it didn't hold water. It was just they put a bent knot slurry in it, and it just didn't work. So they're out and put a liner in.
What thought it looked like? They're prepped for a liner.
It is.
By the end of the day.
Yeah. And the liner wasn't that expensive. They probably should have just done that to begin with. It was like $1,000 or $1,500 or something like that.
Something like that.
So they probably should have just done it to begin with, but they thought that they had enough clay and stuff they added that they could keep it, and it just didn't all come together.
Right.
Well, a lot of fingers probably.
Can I ask a question? On
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
liner itself? The liner itself, what's the lifespan of it, and what about the puncture resistance for somebody if a fishing or somebody hooks it? It tears it.
There's a layer of clay that still goes on top of the liner. So
Okay. All right.
it's buried, but yeah, it's like a landfill liner. So it's
That liner is very tough.
yeah.
Okay, I
Like
just
It's not
want
like
to
a
hear
piece of.
somebody
probably
stepping
50
down
year
in
or
it.
something like that. It's pretty
Yeah.
up there. Almost.
Some kids stepping in or somebody stepping in it.
No swimming side.
So we are very close to closing that out so that we can open that for the public. And right now, as we talked about at the last meeting, we're looking at May for our grand opening of that facility. So it probably turned out better than what our expectations were, which is good. I think one of the weaknesses I think it's so nice that one of the weaknesses is that we're gonna be overrun with people. But I think we've come up with alternative, options for parking. And you have that beautiful greenway over there. So I think that it will all come together to be seamless.
Joe, if I could, I would ask if opening date, ribbon cutting, any way that you could narrow down the dates and the people that are planning on being there and stuff, to give them enough time to make those accommodations, if you could.
Mhm.
I would appreciate it.
Yep. Any more questions on Gymshark Park? Soccer complex, we intend to, ask to put some, that's one request that the soccer association has is, turf on some of the fields, and we're looking at that and getting some cost quotes for that, and we're looking at, the budget, for, something along those lines. So, when we get cost quotes, we'll probably talk about it through our budget process.
What fields are they, Joe, on that part? What fields are you looking at? The bigger fields on the other side? Where the school plays and turf, or the smaller fields on the other side?
I don't want to commit to anything, but it would be more than likely you would do two fields that are right next to each other. As you enter the soccer complex, you have the stadium that will remain grass. And then you go down further and you have two full-size fields, and those would be turf to create optimal space and being able to utilize that. So, and we still haven't forgot Dwayne's lights and lighting and all of that stuff. So we're working on that.
Thank you. And would this allow us to have more tournaments or larger tournaments, or?
It would improve some options for now. You probably don't have quite enough. I mean, there's already tournaments, and you have the Akoi Cup and all that. You probably need a couple more fields before you would be an optimal location where tournaments would come. And there's another 30 acres over there that need to be redeveloped. But this is a step in the right direction. I will say that from everything that I know and what the soccer association tells us is that they're being overrun with soccer players. I mean, I think they were at 700 or 800 not too long ago, and now they're at 1,200, 1,300. I mean, just huge numbers. And their facilities, we obviously maintain the grass, and we can't necessarily maintain the grass effectively and without having to redo. So you end up having a lot of wear and tear. So at some point there's a break-even standpoint is when you put the turf out there, and we'll talk all about this during the process, is then because of the grass out there, we have to mow them 3 times a week.
Yeah, we need to, but sometimes.
Well,
It's Bermuda, and so there's times of the year in the summer, particularly in the
It's
fall,
like-
it grows. You can hear it growing.
yeah. And that's actually when they don't really even play on it, which is a whole nother conversation. But the issue is that there's a breakdown is if you save on your maintenance labor and your wear and tear and probably huge numbers on your chemicals, and we can bring all that breakdown, and we will, is that you don't break even with it, but you come pretty close with making that investment.
And one
Much
thing
more
we
usage days.
we've had to turn away a couple of flag football, like 7-on-7 tournaments. They wanted to use those fields
In the summer.
in the summer. And soccer's not out there, but it's like a lot during that time. But the field wear and tear, that's really tough on the field. So we've been having to turn those down. So there is interest for those. We just can't. We don't have anywhere to put them.
The travel teams play in the summer, but
Yeah, they do.
the leagues are
Yeah.
are 50% more than they were. You even got 2 adult leagues now, like 35 and over even. The lights have been fabulous, right? And have expanded amount
That
of
stays
play.
just on practice time.
Exactly,
Not
but-
like we're-
You get turf, you can play in the rain. I mean, you know, you practice in the rain even, so.
What's the lifespan on turf?
12 to 15 probably with the new products.
Yeah, it doesn't last forever on that part. Also with parking, I know.
It also goes with how well you maintain it. Do you consistently backfill it with your pellets and you can get it to go longer, but it's about maintenance just like anything. Yes, sir.
About parking, I know the original plan showed parking extra, we're overloaded now, people parking everywhere. With this turf being added, another field, you know, being used, are we gonna add parking out there also? For an overflow parking, maybe it's gravel or something, just for temporary?
Let us get you costs and through the budget process, we can talk about that. We don't necessarily disagree. It's just when are the times to do everything that needs to be done. But that's the right question. I mean, they've been asking for parking for a long time.
Well, I'm in it, so I know, I understand it, my kids, my grandchildren are out there.
Any questions on this? Greenway and Park Safety Project, we're still putting out, we hope by this summer is that we will have everything locked in. We changed our strategy a little bit, and I think we went to our hot spots like at the Mohawk trailhead area, and we're doing some of those areas. Probably the thing that we've held off on is putting out new cameras because of the great work that Cleveland Utilities has done is to put fiber through the whole system. We were having to pay $35. Anyone know what that?
That sounds right. It's like.
$35 per camera per month, which is a big number. With Cleveland Utilities going to put that fiber out, which the council had them do on the front side. We have an agreement with them that they were supposed to do that, but they've done it, I think, a year or so early, is that we can eliminate a lot of those needs for the cellular, cellular connections. So that with them doing that is that we can have it all. It's much faster. It's a much better system. It's a much clearer system. So Chris kind of backed off on doing that. We have somebody that we've trained that can now go and splice that fiber from the bottom of the pole up to the cameras. So they're working on that. Which if you can imagine like the eyesight that you would need for that, putting those two little pockets together, I'm putting that together. It seems unfathomable to me, but so we're going to reconnect all of that. And if you can just calculate the savings in your head with, I think we have 80 cameras, or going to have 80 cameras. You have a question, Mr. Webb?
Did I hear that those cameras came in real handy last week or so, dealing with some vandalism on the Greenway?
They come in handy every week,
That-
Chief.
We called somebody Friday.
Yeah, it's pretty common. It's pretty common occurrence that we use the cameras. I know New Year's Eve, we had a gentleman with dementia that wandered away and we were able to use the cameras to track him and locate him before it got dark. And if you remember, New Year's Eve was very cold. So our guys are utilizing those on a weekly basis for different things, not just solving crimes, but also things like missing persons and different things like that. So they're very impactful.
It was a good investment in the community and continues to be.
Yeah. And one thing I know that Councilman Webb has brought up is now with the fiber that we have out there, we're looking at the blue lights, the emergency call boxes and stuff, and trying to figure out how to do that. So we have not forgot about that. It's just about getting all the infrastructure done and then coming the right location to put those call boxes out there. Robert, were you going to say something more, Jonathan? So, any questions on our camera system. And I think we have most of our parks done. Jim Sharp Park is done. I can't think of any parks that we don't have done. Fletcher and Tinsley are probably the last ones that we don't have. And as you know, as you've seen, that we have surveillance on that, and working with the police department, that they're working on all of that. So we think at the end of the day that makes us a lot safer. Philauer Greenway, we have grants to do this. This is from an extension of the Castile connector, going down the road. So it's something that we're working on. Candy's Nature Project, we need to do some improvements along this area. So what we're looking at right here is, I'm sure many of you are aware of the old golf course, and we have a walking path, about 1 3/4 mile walking path. There's some areas that need to be, that are wet, and we need to go replace the old cart path that is just dissolving on us. To fix that, we have a, trying to find. Oh, I'm sorry. This is where this was. So this is the wrong picture. So this is the cart path, and we have a parking lot that needs to go in. That's on pretty high on our list to get done. But you have that 1 3/4 mile loop connected in with sidewalks to our other 2-mile loop. So you have about 4 miles of greenway out there connected to Jim Sharp Park.
How about that short section in Interlaken?
That will be done when the parking lot goes in.
Okay, good. That'll connect a lot of houses.
Well, and we probably, in that, we've been doing some design work is that once we mobilize and do that, you have the neighborhood that's across from Cumberland. Then you have the other neighborhood that Epperson is doing, that they're building sidewalks out in front of there. So we would probably want to connect in all the way up there, so you could get all those neighborhoods connected in, that they could get to this walking facility, then they could walk to the park, and then you can walk another 2 miles and get to Fletcher. And when you get to Fletcher, we have, 1/3 of a mile to connect that into all of Fletcher Park. So we're really close to something that's really spectacular. You would have about 6 or 7 miles of walking trail all connected in, and then have these pieces of sidewalk coming out. We need to put sidewalk, continue it up Candy's Lane and up towards Old Free Will, and capture those neighborhoods, and all of that is being designed, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the budget. Those are not projects that we're all working on right now, but those are the things that are on the front burner, at least, that we've talked about.
All in the 3rd district. All in the 3rd district.
Yeah, well, you got, Ken's in your district too. You live in the 3rd district, so.
Candy's Fletcher, the Fletcher Park Greenway, arts and entertainment. We're working on that. They've really made some great progress on working with the group on trying to identify what the arts and entertainment purpose is, and working on that. The 4th District Pocket Park, and we think that that's our next community park. We don't have a location, but it's something that we have that we're working on. Transitional housing is something that we've worked on quite a bit, and trying to come up with a location and put everything into context. And then you have the indoor, the aquatic center and event center. We've taken that, we're working with we're getting an architect and working on some of those points. Here's some of the pictures. 3rd Street corridor, and this is where we're going to really get in depth, is many of you know the history on the 3rd Street corridor. and this will tee off, and Robert's going to come and talk to you about the build grant. It's about a $95 million project, and we're going to talk about that to build this connection that we first started out, and we got. It'll be another minute. That we got the planning grant to come up with what it will look like and what's the best way to do that. And it was federal money. We went through that public process to do that. As you know. Oh,
He's working on flipping it from one to the other, but
well, I was still using that one. So now I have to remember what it says, and you have it, and I don't. Oh, two more down, or I guess I can do this.
no, flip it. So. There it is.
We received the $33 million bridge grant from FRA. We did our public process on the build grant. We have been successful is that TDOT is very interested in doing this, and Robert's going to show you in a minute why they're interested. It literally takes this corridor for the future that everything is kind of red that is not working to green by doing that, and that has gotten the state's attention. Is essentially we would relocate all of their highways, because they have 64 and 74 and 11, and they have all kinds of them, and Robert's going to show you that in a minute. Is that it's a worthwhile transportation investment for them, and they have really shown pretty strong support for that, and they like that we have all the safety data, and we have all the other environmental information, and we have a lot of the stuff there. Right now, we're doing two things. Is that we're asking the state for $25 million to help fund their part, and we're going to submit a build grant in the next couple weeks for another $25 million, and Robert's going to go through that all in detail. So essentially, you'll have a project that the city will put in less than 15% of this, and you'll have this investment that will create all kinds of environmental opportunity, economic opportunity. It solves a lot of the state problems, and it allows for future economic growth. So with that, I'm going to let Robert kind of walk through what is the build grant application for. We want to make sure you see all the numbers and what it means. You're going to see some numbers that the city has, but per the council's direction is that we have been saving money. So we have probably half of that money saved already, and then you won't need the rest. You would save some over the next 4 or 5 years for this to do that. So from a financial situation, it's not like we need to come up with $15 million, as we have been doing it to do that. So we would be good to be able to make this. The state will not do this without our participation. The federal government will not do this without our participation. And they think that this is about right. So with that, we're going to give you a little presentation to do that. We certainly want you to ask questions and to do that. This is the right time. We still have, I think, when's the due date?
24th.
February 24th. So we still have a few time. If you have questions or thoughts or any of that, we can go through that. So with this, I will turn it over to Robert, and you can show them what the build grant's all about.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So this is a topic we've talked about for a number of years. I've been with the city for about 6, and this has been one of the primary projects we've been working on. You all know Cleveland, so this presentation is utilized in several different formats. So I'm going to go to what really counts for you all. But as you know, I'm going to tell you, our population is roughly 51,000. According to the RAISE plan that we did in 2021, we're projected to reach 86,000 by 2046. So that's 20 years from now, based on population growth and the immigration, not immigration, but the immigration that's occurring in our country, where people are moving from different parts of the country into areas like Cleveland. We're seeing a lot of that. Out of 95 counties in the state, we rank number 1 in industrial job growth. We have 13 Fortune 500 companies. These are things you all know, and but they're still good to talk about. Joe mentioned the big numbers. You know, we're this whole project from one end to the other is estimated at about $93.4 million. Some of that money has already been spent. The city council approved the 2022 railroad crossing elimination grant. That included a match, as Joe was mentioning. That money is set aside. That you know, we've already gone down that road, and so that's not what that is included in these numbers, but it's not what we're talking about today. $27 million in the bridge, and a 2026 build application that I'm asking for y'all to approve our application today will be for 25 million. So that's $52 million in federal money that we're requesting. The build grant is one of the highest valued grant opportunities in the federal government from an infrastructure transportation standpoint. We're going to follow that up with the state and ask them, seeing as how this is to benefit their road system, that they also join with us and partner with us to make this a reality. So what are we trying to do? We're enhancing safety. We're improving efficiency. We're creating somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 billion in redevelopment opportunity along this corridor. When we started the day, Mayor Brooks was talking about Lawrenceville, Georgia, and the redevelopment of their downtown. This is the kind of catalyst that creates that kind of redevelopment. The biggest piece of this for me is the cost to not do this project is so much higher than just this cost now, because eventually it has to happen. Existing conditions, and I'm going to walk over here. State Route 74, State Route 40, US 11, US 64. We have State Route 312 right there. These are existing conditions. The existing 3rd Street is a 40-foot right-of-way. No shoulders, no sidewalks. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But, you know, when Region 2 looks at this and they look at their existing road network in our downtown, they see the need for vast improvement, and they've been extremely helpful in talking with us, and they are keen to see this improvement happen. The existing Inman Street underpass, it's a 10-foot 6-inch underpass, which is woefully inadequate. The existing 3rd Street at-grade crossing, and as you all know, the bridge itself to go over that at-grade crossing and replace it has been funded. This image, engineers use this kind of data a lot. This is a no-build scenario. I'm going to point to something real quick. On the left, you have existing 2026 conditions of the circle. On the right, you have the 2046 conditions. So the no-build, we do nothing. Shows, and this is for y'all's benefit. Red is bad, green is good. Okay, so on this, a level of service F on all these intersections. Some right now, and in 2046, many more.
What are we looking at there, Robert?
So, yeah, this is Ocoee and Broad. You've got Inman, you got Third Street, existing at-grade crossing.
Each dot is an intersection.
And these are, so Edward Street, Church Street, Ocoee, Broad. Yeah, sorry, I should have. I look at this stuff all the time. Forgive me. So obviously we've all seen these images. You can just get online and find many, many more. We have environmental hazards. We have a 10.6 foot low clearance. There was a study, it was a land use and transportation study done in 1970. And the city of Cleveland received federal funds from Housing and Urban Development. And that study explicitly stated that the Inman Street underpass is not functional and has to be replaced. It said, I mean,
In 1970.
in 1970. It's my understanding in talking with Greg Thomas, who really, started off this path several years ago. There's studies going back into the 50s that kind of say that same thing. Like other alternatives are going to have to be created. So there was a couple of years ago, we had an elementary school group in here who was presenting ideas on how to fix this problem right here. There's a lot of minds in Cleveland saying, why doesn't the city fix it? Why doesn't the state fix it? Why doesn't the railroad fix it? Well, for the railroad to fix it, they'd have to replace somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 miles of track. That's not feasible. Just to go up a few feet. Because you're
not going to do it.
Yeah, well, and they're not, they don't care about our problem. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. So this hurts commerce. There's emergency issues. Some of our larger, newer fire trucks can't utilize this road. They're sitting, waiting for the train as it's going, or parked at Third, at Central, wherever it may be. As discussed, this is a publicly vetted idea. We've had several public meetings where, starting with downtown redevelopment plans, 2012, 2019, the RAISE planning grant in 2021. All of this has gone through a public process. And the feedback that was received from the public during that process is really what shaped the final outcome of what we're looking at. Just to reiterate, existing conditions, keep in mind we're talking 40-foot right-of-ways on Third Street, no sidewalks, no shoulders, tight turning movements, bad intersections. The proposed route, which you guys all should have seen, all funnels to this bridge, utilizes a chunk of the Whirlpool former industrial property, subverts through traffic and freight traffic, bus traffic, emergency services traffic off of Inman, creates a more redevelopable Inman Street. We've already done the safety project in that area, and I think a question was asked today about some of the traffic through Inman Street at certain times of day. What's the answer to fixing that? And the answer is the through traffic can utilize a different system. This is the same thing we looked at before, except for this is if we build it.
That's insane.
Right.
That's absolutely insane.
Just wait, I'm not even late to the best part yet. So this would be the roundabout as proposed on the Whirlpool site. Funded bridge, Broad, Ocoee, connection at Third, connection to Inman, and all the intersections through the existing Inman Street corridor. Your level of service now and in 2046 is exceptional. We're at A's, few B's and a C. That's really, the difference between the two is eye-opening. This says it in a different way. No build. Currently, we have congestion at 2 intersections. And when I say congestion, I'm saying level of service F. By 2046, we're at 10. The build scenario, we're at 0, and we stay at 0. So you're talking through traffic, it's flowing much better. And all of this is just data. It's not even talking about the redevelopment that happens when infrastructure is improved, the redevelopment that can occur around it. And feel free to stop me if there's questions on specific slides. I feel like maybe
Yeah, I got
like-
just a quick question. How does this correlate to traffic count? Is there like a,
this is based on an increased traffic count. It's an inflated traffic count based on population.
So this isn't your numbers, this is the consultant hired.
That's correct. This is provided by engineers through a study based on, approximately 17,000 annual or average daily trips is what we're looking at now. And then that is taken up into 2046 based on that same percentage that the population is proposed to go
so
up.
they're extrapolating the current numbers to 2046 and we're still at a green in 2046?
That's right.
Okay.
So it's based on that updated or whatever that growth shows. It's based on that.
Thank
And what that isn't based on is when you've got Ocoee and 25th, how many people avoid Inman Street and go around and sit over there, or when they're backing up halfway up the bypass? I mean, there's so many. If you really start zooming out on this thing, it's a much bigger win than just at the spot.
Robert, before we get to that.
Yeah.
Talk a minute about efficiency. Show them like how many traffic lights right now it takes to get through the downtown.
So get away from me. And that's one thing with this slide. Here at Inman, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you're going that way, coming from Third, you've still got 1, 2, and then you're going up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. With the new proposed build, this through corridor 1, 2, 3. Depends on which direction, 4 and 5 or 4. So we're going from 9 and 10 to 4 and 5 traffic lights.
So
And
the efficiency improves.
yeah, and some of those traffic lights may end up being roundabouts. On one of them is proposed, and we're looking at options on what that would look like at other locations as well. So when we write grants, we're talking about environmental impacts and idling and things like that. All of these things come into play.
And just people's time, right?
I think, yeah, it's somewhere in the neighborhood, and I wish I had this number exactly in my head. But it's for the average daily driver, the number of hours saved by following this path becomes a win-win. I mean, we're saving people's time where they're not sitting in traffic in our downtown. They're at their destination working. Their trucks are getting to where they need to be faster. Emergency services are getting to where they need to be faster. So on an efficiency level, I mean, that's not even, it's so much better. It flows so much cleaner. Mayor Brooks is going to know about what I'm about to talk about here. Every year with the MPO, we pass performance safety measures. And these performance safety measures are given, TDOT prepares a study. It talks about we're facing this many crashes, this many fatalities. In a crash, when I say crash, I mean pedestrian, car. So we're facing this many accidents every year, and we want to reduce it by this component, whatever it is. We're going to reduce it, and this is our goal. So every year the MPO here adopts safety standards and goals to reduce accidents and fatalities in our transportation network. This right here, I don't know if you can see it. From 2019 to 2023, on 3rd Street and Inman Street alone, this doesn't take into account Harl or Worth or any of the other cut-throughs, 1st, 2nd, any of those streets that people might be cutting through to avoid this traffic light or do that. Just on 3rd Street and Inman Street alone, we had 89 accidents.
In 3 years.
Yeah, it's really the end of 2019 to the beginning of 2023. So in a 3-year period, we have 89 accidents on those 2 streets alone. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 70% of those were called angled accidents, which are the most deadly. So you're hitting at odd angles and they create problems. Under the build scenario, that number does still have a number to it, but it reduces to 29 in the same year period. It's a little over 3-year period. So you're reducing accidents of every kind from 89 to 29 based on updated standards. The new thoroughfare will follow modern engineering requirements. Your sight distance, it will include sidewalks, multi-use paths, the reduction in the intersection count that we talked about before. So the efficiency, yes, it's also a safety measure.
Doesn't it get people to stop using cut-throughs?
Well, yes, and I'm guilty of it too. We all are. We kind of cut through to get here to there. But if you've got a seamless transportation network that gets you where you want to be in a quicker fashion, a safer fashion, those cut-throughs become less and less. People will use this thoroughfare, Ocoee Street, Broad Street, Inman Street for local traffic and redevelopment. Close to a 77% crash reduction if you fully do the math. That's 89.29 is. So this just talks about the number of different projects. Some of these have already occurred dating back to 2004. We started making improvements. And then, as you all know, the Inman Street Safety Project was completed knowing that we wanted to build something to the south that connected to that bridge. That safety project will enhance, and we've already seen it on Inman Street, buildings redeveloping, getting new life, getting rejuvenated in the sense. Based on the economic analysis we've done, we see significant redevelopment occurring on what we would call the connector thoroughfare as well. Much of that area is underutilized property, and I'm not saying what it is bad. I'm just saying it's underutilized from a development standpoint, and it's in the middle of town. As we continue to grow, which we're going to do, it's very smart financial decisions. It's a very smart planning decision to make sure our core is redeveloping properly, where all our infrastructure is, sewer, water, all those things. We're not building new, we're revitalizing old.
Robert, back to that last slide.
This one here?
Why don't we see Bradley County's participation in some of these numbers?
Well,
Let's face it, Inman Street is backed up from people leaving their houses off of 64 hours and going home.
well,
And county residents.
I can only answer it this way. The MPO has existed since 2008, and Bradley County has a member of that organization. The city of Cleveland is the financer of that organization. This gets into the political world that I probably don't belong, but I will say having their partnership on some of these larger projects and matches would go a long way, because let's face it, and I've done some research utilizing cell phone data. It has, you don't know who these people are. You just know they're coming into certain areas within our city. And we've got hundreds of thousands of people that come into our city limits and utilize our infrastructure yearly. And I'm not just talking about the interstate. I did a study just on this area right here, and the numbers were unbelievable. And these people came from as far away as Seattle, and out of the country, but most of it was fairly regional. I'll just put it that way.
Robert, we've got a deadline on the grant,
We do.
and I'm assuming we're gonna make the deadline.
The grant application is very well on its way. It just needs some
Yeah.
tightening up. What
Do we need, what, I guess what, looking at numbers percent, do you feel like that we're going to get it this time?
I do, because and to be clear, we applied last time. Our application was very well received. I met with Federal Highways after that last application and asked them for the constructive criticism on what could be better. I took that constructive criticism and I've reached out and enhanced that application based on what they think we lacked, which was a little bit of data. So
I guess, Robert, if we get the grant, how long will it be before we move in dirt?
8 years, I would like to think. 8 is an appropriate, getting through NEPA. Let's not forget, some of this right of way is already purchased. This is what we're applying for our,
The bridge will start much sooner than that.
yeah, the bridge is already well underway. And in fact, within the next 2 months, probably 45 days or so, I'll be bringing a contract to you with Federal Railroad. We're almost there. So that will get started soon. And from the beginning, city staff has wanted to make this feel like a seamless project, even though we're funding it as creatively as we can to offset the burden on local taxpayers.
We understand that.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
This green section is our build application. We call it the western section of the connector. We're looking for a better name, but that's where we are now. We've got some great ideas. We estimated it about a $27.5 million project. I'm asking for $25 million from Federal Highways with y'all's consent. That 2.5 is our match. Because of where we are, if this was a $30 million grant, I'd apply for 30. I mean, I would, because by census tract, this isn't it's identified as an area of persistent poverty. That means I don't have to match, but they cap me at 25. So that's my application. And I think, do you have something you want to add? Okay.
I do, but when you're done.
Okay. There's other parts of this that we're going to have to look at other funding sources, and we're already well on our way. They are all critical to each other eventually, and they all will be funded eventually. Because like I said at the beginning, the cost of not doing this becomes a $200 million project in 10 years.
Yeah.
And we sit here with the same problem.
Yeah.
How many times has somebody said, when are you going to fix that underpass? When are you going to do something about that? I get it a lot.
I get it a lot.
I thought you might. So we sat down years ago and said, let's fix this problem. And we're very close.
Robert, will this be done in phases?
Yes, ma'am. The simple way to say that is yes, because of how it's funded. The bridge is one section. This application would be another. But like I said, we're going to make that feel as seamless as possible.
Yeah.
So,
And it's able to be constructed to be phased. So you can build the bridge and the bridge works
Yeah.
without having the other.
oh yeah,
phases.
yeah. No, yeah. So
A good point.
it makes it all these points that we're making about safety and reliability, all these things, your level of service, they work best together, but they are like, it can be separate. Yes. For a period of time. Yeah. That allows the bridge to be built, tie into existing infrastructure. Then we come along with the next phase. And before you know it, you've got the whole thing.
Yeah. One really key point is that the green on the cost, there's a tool that helps with the budget, is that this includes the 27.5. So it's what TDOT uses, it's what the Federal Highway uses. It has escalation on what will this project cost in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
With contingency.
Yes.
So this number seems high. If we're able to
It's
go
not.
out and move it faster along, those numbers come down very quickly. So we think, and even, depends on there, that's probably a pretty high number, but it's better to be high than low.
It is a high number because it has two things. It has inflation built in, and it has like an almost a rainy day emergency fund that's north of $2 million in it.
To prove that theory, just look at North Ocoee and 25th Street,
Correct.
what we've seen in the increase in prices there.
And what the project was in 2012, what it is in 2026, where it's
Yeah.
and Vice Mayor, that's a great example of a situation where the city and TDOT had an opportunity to fix something 13 years ago, and they chose not to, and the cost doubled. So, but we're very optimistic.
What I'm hoping for, that we can start doing it in phases, that we're not waiting till we can fund the whole thing.
No,
If we do that, then we're pushing back in time, and inflation's gonna kill it.
and as already stated, as Mr. Five has stated at the beginning, our match is a certain number. It looks big, but some of that's already sitting over here. From a budgetary planning standpoint, we've got the ability to fund this out. I think within 10 years, if we act now, we can have this thing done. I really do. And that seems like a lot, but in my world, it's not.
No, well, no, it's not.
So those phases will be over the next 10 years.
Yes,
We'll see it.
yes. The bridge will come first.
But when we're talking to the general public.
Yeah.
It does seem like a long time.
It
Yeah.
does.
I disagree with Robert and looking at it, is that the state, if we can get this bridge going, the state will, because one key point is the state has also volunteered to run this entire project.
Yeah.
So we don't have to
So
do,
that project will drive the other small pieces.
if we can get this other project going,
Yeah.
they will want to do it all at once. So I think because this other one's so far ahead is that they will move faster. And I think you're dealing with 5 years.
Yeah. And
Robert's trying to make sure he's not wrong because he'll be here in 10 years.
maybe. Maybe. So these are just some cross sections. Sorry. These are just some cross sections.
Can you go back to the numbers real quick?
Oh, sure.
I think one really important part of this is the local number at 15 million. That number, we've already spent so part of that is we put in what we spent on the state's road on Inman, that's already built into that.
And some of the right of way expense.
So the only things that we have is left, that is 2.5. Well, we have, there's 2.5, and is that 1 million over there?
Yeah.
And so as far as money that we would need to save over the next 5 years is another about 3.5 or 4 million, which is very doable. And we intend to be very intentional about doing that. What we don't see is having to take out any debt to do this or do anything. So we expected to have everything in hand before that time. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's an important component, especially in this room right now, for y'all to understand, is we're not asking for something that we don't feel is attainable, because we've already done so much work and they've done so much work setting us up for success.
So in other words, we're gonna pay as we go.
We're going to pay as we go. Pay go.
That's what the public likes to hear.
Well, but we think it's important is you have this project and we're gonna be very intentional about saving the money and not having to get any more debt for this or do anything, is that this will be shovel ready and ready to go. We already have the plan. We have the process to get the funds in place.
Does the 3.5 to 4 million, does that include inflation?
Yes, ma'am. All of these numbers include inflation,
Yeah,
It's-
and escalation
escalation and
and
inflation.
contingency.
It's all of it. Utilities, right away. The TDOT Federal Highways Estimator tool takes into account all of that. We just plug in what we want to build, and it spits out numbers.
So to Councilman Moore's question about the county, would we like the county to participate? Yes. One thing that we need to ask them is, well, first of all, I think Robert was saying on the MPO, they do participate a little bit
Mhm.
because like on this, some of this will be used with MPO money or have the possibility.
That is the plan.
But what we need from the county and our ask for the county is, and the IDB, is for using tax increment financing for when new development comes along this corridor.
Specifically, I think through this part.
When we all know our business model of growing out into green fields, we have limitations in the future on that. We know that's probably more efficient from an infrastructure standpoint is to grow also from the inside. And we think that there's a lot of opportunities in these areas to create the highest and best use of having some higher density amenities, higher density commercial buildings and residential. That's where, when we get into tax increment financing, that's where the county needs to step in and to really participate on using those tax captures to help redo all the other infrastructure on the other side of this new road. That's where my line is we'll set up a pathway to get the infrastructure going, but the county needs to really help us help themselves, Bradley County, on instead of growing out, we need to have a focus growing in and saving those farms and doing that.
And, we have great collaboration with Region 2 at TDOT, and our collaboration at the staff level with Bradley County is excellent. And I think, and they have partnered on projects before, LIC, North and South, the industrial park off of exit 20. They certainly put some money into those projects. And I think the periphery of this is going to be the next ask with them. And I think that's a good point.
So for today, what's the ask of the city council?
So my application for the build grant, as I stated, $27.5 million total project. Their cap is 25. I'm asking for that $2.5 million to match it in a sense and close out that whole western corridor, and let's get it funded and build it. Something, Joe said in 10 years it'll be done, but or before 10 years, and I'll be here for 10 years.
Jim said 5.
I said 5.
Either way, whether it's 5 or 10 and how long I'm here, I want it done before I'm gone. I'll say that. So it's $2.5 million. There's a resolution. I don't know if we got it in the packet, but it's there. With that, Federal Highways sees that the city supports it. The MPO supports it. Both of our state senators have written us letters.
U.S. senators.
That's right. Both of our U.S. senators have written in support of this project. We have every expectation that our House of Representatives member will provide us a letter soon. Bradley County is supporting it. United Way, Boys and Girls Club, a lot of neighborhood organizations around it support it. This is the last ask coming before y'all. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Let me go to the map so it's talking points.
David, Shealy, do you have any comments?
I do not. I think Robert hit all the high points.
All right. Yeah, David's been a great use on this.
David, Greg Thomas, Dave Shealy, and myself,
And Seth with that.
and I'm going back in time. Then we're going to get to the people we've added since. Started talking about this years ago. Seth, Dustin, Tommy, Really, actually, pretty much the entire DES staff at one point was involved. While we worked on a plan, we came up with a bunch of different alternatives, and we've honed in on what we feel is best. This is not just me. I'm just the one that's good at talking up here.
Robert,
Yes, sir.
this is not a question, this is a statement.
Yes, sir.
This project aside, which is a huge project, and all the other projects that we've talked about today that were looked at, it is simply incredible the amount of money that hopefully we're gonna obtain for these projects that the city is not having to come up with. There is no way we can do these projects on city funds alone.
No, it's impossible.
And I think you, Joe, all the other people involved need to congratulate yourself on getting us in a position where we are tentatively going to receive this grant money to see these projects become a reality. It's just incredible. I was sitting here thinking that if you went through this package and that package and added up the total cost of all the projects and then looked at what was flowing in here from other sources, it would be amazing what the percentage is.
Well, and at the staff level, we take direction from our city manager, who does a great job in directing us and kind of getting us to think outside the box and find ways to get funding.
That's not what you say every day.
No,
I commend
no, let me
My living outbox.
let me just finish. Let me finish my thought before it. But none of the what's very clear is none of this happens without the vision, the understanding that this board represents. Because you guys have to sit up here and make decisions like $2.5 million. That's not a small ask. It's a big one, and I understand that, but it's so worth it based on the whole scale of it. It almost feels like it's nothing, but it's not. And the vision and support that y'all provide our staff is what enables a lot of that to occur.
But the value of these projects is going to lead the direction of Cleveland for the next 50 years.
That's our intention. That's absolutely our intention. I think we said 100 years when we were sitting in a room. So.
Great work, and yeah, it looks really good. I would like to just throw out there, I'd love to see roundabouts. I think they're safer. I think the flow of traffic would be much better. The only question is on the second sheet where it has the intersection of South Lee Highway. Seems like those are still maybe not optimal.
Are you talking about here?
Yeah, those two. Is there anything we can do to anticipate to make those better while
So-
we do everything else?
Let me go to real quick. In 2004, come on in. You can walk by again. Go ahead. In 2004, TDOT did do a widening here, and back in 2000 they did one there, and that included that bridge. But both of those, when we start talking about periphery, those projects will need to be revisited and reinvested in, definitely. We're looking at doing some studies from 3rd Street down South Lee all the way to the bypass that probably will have some safety components, as well as some other needed improvements. But they're in our mind. But well, let me put it this way. I put this together, with everybody else. We put it together, and then we said, okay, we'll go to this one next, then this one, then that one. But I agree that they need help.
Going to follow up on your statement. An intersection has a cost to it, but an intersection that requires a traffic signal has a much greater cost to it. And I've got to wonder if the roundabouts would not be a less expensive way to do some of those intersections. I don't know what the difference would be, but
The cost of the roundabout in the front end is higher, but your long-term upkeep is less.
It takes quite a bit of land to put a roundabout in.
Well, and you got to deal with stormwater and all sorts of fun stuff, but it doesn't. I think, and I'll look at Dave, but I would say the upkeep of it.
Maintenance and,
Yeah. I mean, you'd save within 10 years.
Yeah. Roundabouts are also safer.
They sure are pretty.
Those numbers I showed you from 89 to 29 improve when we start adding more roundabouts. We've got one. That 29 goes down real quick. So that's with traffic lights and
The new
intersections.
industrial park is working flawlessly. I always giggle when people say, we don't want roundabouts. I say, we already have one.
It's already here.
Is there any city, near us that has, something similar to this where they have several roundabouts? that we could look at?
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga certainly
Has
does.
several in a row?
Yes.
Enterprise sales, or
Where?
get off at McKay's, get off at Bonnie Oak and hit Jenkins Road. And you go through several, get going towards Hamilton Place.
So, like, if you're on Gun Barrel and you go straight instead of going on Chaliford to the interstate, and you go straight, you're going to run into a few of them that way.
I've got quite a few.
Mayhem Gap.
Mayhem Gaps,
Volkswagen, I think.
Udall Ringgold Road, and they're all over in Chat.
So.
But yes.
Do we know the statistics of how it has improved their traffic and?
I can't cite an exact number, but it
risks?
has improved tremendously, and I'll bring that to you.
Okay.
I'll look
I'd
into
like
it.
to see that. Thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Varnell, thank you for
Thank
the great presentation. Mr. Fibus, I'm gonna have to be the bearer of bad tidings that we are rapidly approaching the time for our 3 o'clock meeting. Without the council's objection, we'll move our council reports to 3 o'clock unless anyone has anything pressing.
I've got one thing. Joe,
Mr. May?
why did you not mention Michigan Avenue, 4th District in the project?
I probably forgot. Yeah, I was putting that together, and probably the next one is have we finished the Menace Road stormwater piece of that?
Not closed out.
Yeah, so that should have been on there because we have the Menace, because there was a stormwater component of that, and then we would have the Menace Road widening through there and the 20th section intersection. I can add that to the presentation.
So you forgot 4th District.
I gave you your park. We took the money from the Michigan Avenue to put on your park.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just kidding by
I
that.
know. No, maybe not.
Mayor, do you want to talk for 5 or 6 minutes on Blue Line? It's an agenda item for
I
Blue
really
Lines.
do, yeah, and then maybe just a quick overview of the 3 o'clock agenda, and then we'll pause for a few minutes.
Yeah, come on up. Mark, did you want to kick off anything with Blue Line Solutions? We have an agenda item. This is the sister to the bus cameras. This is school zone cameras. We came and we talked to the council about a year ago. There was a lot of questions from Mr. Kimball, and really we took the time to research, and we really allowed some other locations locally to actually implement and to see, well, what is it that we don't know and what works and what doesn't work. And we have the representative here that will kind of give you an update on that. I think we have things worked out with Mr. Kimball, and Mark has had some of his traffic team look at this, and the one key thing is in traffic zones. I think one thing we talked about last time is that they would be going for 24 hours in traffic. They will not. They will only be operating when schools in session. And there's some really great numbers as far as how much it reduces speeds and safety. And at this point, you can introduce yourself, and we may not finish it all by the time, but give us your thoughts. And this is on the agenda if there are no questions for later today.
Yeah, this is on the agenda item, new business, item B is in boy.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be back. My name is Ryan Moore. As City Manager said, I'm with Blue Line Solutions. We have done the traffic studies here, and there is a big misconception about everything. So I guess my question, this is the third time I've been here, is do you guys have any questions per se about the schools stuff.
I guess on the money end of it. Okay, somebody goes through and you should issue a citation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's say a person's from out of state and the citation goes, but we never get any money. Is your company paid anyway?
No,
It doesn't,
no, it doesn't cost you anything. We do the revenue share.
okay,
What you get, what we get in, you get half of. Yes.
okay.
But it's not, it's different. It's a different model. It doesn't cost you guys anything to set it up. The revenue is just a byproduct. Like with Saudi Daisy, we built all the infrastructure. It went back before we even turned it on. We cut speeding down 87%. That's the name of the game is to get people to slow down. We mark it up. We want it in the paper on all your social media. We want everybody to know it's coming. Right. So in the side streets, it'll be signed up, says photo enforced. You'll have your flashing lights in your school zone. It'll say photo enforced. Also, at each end of the main end of the school zone, there'll be a radar feedback sign that says your speed is. So there's 3 warnings before people come in. Also, with that being said, we do a 30-day warning period.
Okay.
So for the first 30 days, everybody gets a warning. Then after that.
Mr. Kimball, I have a question. In the staff write-up and in this, it says when school is in session. But oftentimes we have different speed limits when yellows are flashing. So when school is starting and when school is letting out, not, let's say, midday. How's the city interpreting that? What was the discussions around that?
Well, you remember what they originally brought was 24/7, 365. Okay. The way it reads now, if you look at page 51, is 7 a.m., 4 p.m. while school's in session. Okay. So what they're going to have to flash
All day?
otherwise it's not a violation. It has to be the warning. The signage is also going to have to say 7 p.m.
Do we really
7 a.m.
want Raider Drive at 15 miles an hour all day? No.
No,
No, sir. That's incorrect.
I don't think that's what it works.
No, I think,
No, sir.
No,
sir.
There's a period in the school zone where it's flashing and it drops the speed limit, okay? And then it makes that adjustment to the normal speed once that school zone goes off.
Yeah.
Between that time, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., while kids are present, you'll get photo enforcement. But it will make that adjustment to the speed. I think it allows, once it goes from the 15 mile an hour, 20 mile an hour school zone back to regular speed, it has like a 5-minute.
It's like a 1 minute buffer. The way, if it's 7 in the morning from 7 to 8, if it's 15, it'll ride at 11 over, which would be 26. At 8:01, if that speed limit goes to 35, from 8:01 to 2:59, it would ride at 46. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it would slip back up to 15, and then at 4
Chief.
o'clock, it's over.
In that middle time when it would ride at 41 or what have you, lights are gonna go on all day? All right, so what I'm hearing is enforced morning, afternoon, but also camera enforcement on those streets during the day.
During the day with the kids between that 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. time slot during times that school's in session. So 5 days a week between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. you'll be doing the photo enforcement in that zone. On the weekends, it's not doing the photo enforcement. After 4 p.m., it's not doing the photo enforcement. The mindset behind that is, especially nowadays, with schools in session, kids are in and out all day. People are getting dropped off, picked up. Buses are leaving to go to special events, that type of thing. So you have a lot of your schools that have walkers within that mile radius. So kids are routinely being checked out or leaving schools and throughout the day. So that's kind of the ideal behind it is the enforcement in those zones during that period.
But the last time you came, you said that you could set it up to write citations during school time. Or you could set it up where you would write citations all day. it would drop to the.
That's what he's talking about, between the 7 and 4, yes, sir. So in the
You will be
morning,
writing citation all day.
but it'll be at different
It will
speeds.
move on, yeah.
Yes, sir. It'll
Will
be,
that person be notified when it goes back to the
There-
speed limit that,
there'll be a radar feedback sign at each end of the school zone. It will tell you your speed in real time before you enter that school zone.
okay.
And what speed overage does it actually charge you?
At 11 over,
11 over?
Mhm.
Either of those speed limits? So it's
Right.
15, you gotta go in 26 to get a ticket?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, you know, my background as a police officer, that's pretty generous because I would be like 8 over, you know.
9 your mind?
Yeah, not, there you go. That's
So
good,
you
Mayor.
mentioned on the cost share. The way I was reading it is 50/50 cost share on the revenue, but all the expenses come out of the municipality side. Is that
No,
not correct?
you have no expenses at all.
It says the cost will be subtracted from the municipality's gross receipts of paid citation summons.
Well, that's what they're paid. There's no, you guys are not paid. You guys will never get an invoice or be charged from us. That is, like he's saying, if somebody is out of state and they're not paid, then we're not gonna get paid for that, right? We're not gonna give you the $25 just because.
Isn't there an expense though that would be coming out of?
The only thing you guys will be responsible for would be with, if we can't do the, solar, you guys would be responsible for paying the electric bill every month. That's it. Yeah, it's a no cost to you guys.
To understand is we have no cost at all.
Exactly, nothing.
It's 50/50.
Right.
What, the contracts here, what's an out? We've done camera enforcement before and twice and knocked it out. And what's it,
2-year agreement.
before we could be out? Okay.
$1,500 per camera per month that you cancel.
Early or at 2 years?
Early.
Early.
If you cancel it early, you would have some costs.
Chief, I know that, like, there's not a school zone sign on 20th Street for Mayfield. And to my colleagues, I get a lot of blowback from 2 of my neighborhoods. There's too many signs on the roads anyway. Too much signage. So we're adding cameras, signage, flashing lights. I'm not against it. I know city staff says they're now for it. Mr. Taylor, do you have a dog in this hunt? I mean, you've been in the paper and on the TV the last week, about how much activities happen going around buses.
Well, you brought up Raider Drive. And during the school day, between the kids getting out, the kids are, they're 16-year-olds, right? So a lot of us remember how we maybe didn't pay attention to the speed limit when we were 16. And we have a lot of people going down Raider Drive in between. And I will tell you that it's hard to pull out on Raider Drive sometimes. It's hard on my buses to pull out. At the schools, we get calls and complaints from parents. Well, not parents necessarily, but from people driving, how our bus pulled out in front of them. And then when we look there, we find out it's not that our bus pulled out in front of them inappropriately. It's that they were doing 55 somewhere they should have been doing 35. And had they been doing 35, our bus would have had plenty of room to pull out. So I guess that's my opinion of it, is I'm all for it because I drive at the schools every day and I see way too many of these things going on.
That's what you want, is the traffic. I promise you, you can go through the Saudi days when there's one in Charleston, Tennessee. You can watch the traffic get slow, because that's what the main goal is, to get driver compliance, because you do have everything in and out.
Do you have a percentage of when you start the program, say 6 months down the road or 12 months down the road,
Right.
how much it has decreased? Do you actually see a decrease?
Yeah, well, let's Saudi Daisy, before we built the infrastructure, and then Saudi Daisy being in Hamlin County and close to us, I went back and put the initial armadillos out before we had the radar feedback side, and out of the 5 school zones from the baseline, we cut the speeding down 87% before we even flipped the switch. And it's about company-wide, and that's just counting Hollywood, Florida, Shreveport, Louisiana, you're about 92%. In the first 30 days of warnings, you see it drop by 75 to 82%.
Does it pretty much stay that way?
Yes, ma'am. And it will drop. And we also have, there's a couple, I think, school zones in Shreveport, Louisiana, in the city that are 100% compliant now. I mean, there's still some that are writing tickets, but two of them are 100% compliant.
Holidays and snow days.
Holidays, that's a great question. See, holidays will keep the, your school calendar in our calendar, but the police department has to review the citation just to make sure that we didn't miss anything on our side. If something were to happen, if it was a snow day or the electricity went off, all that would be spoiled. Nobody would ever see that. Yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor, circling back just a little bit.
Yeah.
I see Cleveland High School as an open campus. Kids come in, go early, they go to CTE work. I mean, it's not a high school like we think or thought of in terms of people coming in and out, because kids are going in and out all day.
Right.
But I do, Arnold, Mayfield, Blythe on 20th. You know, you got 2 20ths and each school that I'm thinking of in my district, it's unique, right? And it's got unique traffic needs. I'm just throwing that out there for you.
No, I understand what you're saying. I would say like Ross and Yates, that corner at Ross and Yates, people they get through one and they get to flying around the other because they forget about the second. And I can see where this will get people's attention and slow them down there. So it's like you said, everything's unique. But
If the council decides to go forward, and tell me, is that there will be a study by MTS that will go through and evaluate all the county schools in our jurisdiction and all the city schools. So MTS will come and give the council a study that shows which I don't know, schools that should be covered by this. Is that correct?
They're correct.
Well, they won't come. They'll give chief a report. That's it. But they come because the state law says the third party has to do the speech study. But they will break it all down. Yes.
So as far as which schools you want to, I don't want to pick, but that study will dictate, and the council can look at that and look for any errors or any abnormalities that may exist in certain areas.
I'm sure they can.
Can we not then vote on this once we see an MTS report?
That's what I'm saying. Can we just vote on to do the test, to do this
I want to see the third party report.
report before we move forward with it, or?
I don't know. I don't know what they'll. I'm not sure how it works. I'm not sure if they will. Who talks to MTS?
Chief will have to initiate the impasse.
By the end of the day, we can choose particular schools to implement it or not, right? We don't have to do all or none.
Yeah, you can choose which schools you want to implement that. I guess the risk of that is if you pick certain schools, then other schools will add on to it later on, but, I think you can phase those in, or you can add them, or decide which schools you want to go for. My personal opinion is that, this is the speed enforcement is something that you have available to you. I know you hear about flashing lights and concerns about this and that, but it's really about, we get a lot of complaints about speeding in town in general. You have an option of something that's automated that really can be impactful. Just like if you set a patrol car in the school zone, when the school zone's running, you may get 1 or 2 cars before the officer has to go back service and the school zone's over. It really doesn't deter speeding as much as having something that people know is there and slow down. So, that's my opinion on it. I think it's something that's available. I think it's something that's useful, but if you want to wait for MTS study, you can go ahead and do that. It's your preference.
So Chief, I respect that. I agree with it. I'll give you twice bit. We took 3 intersections in Cleveland, put red light camera enforcement in. Traffic, wrecks went down, everything was great, incredible blowback, and then they come down. You know, so our appetite or what makes sense, man, you know, do we have the will to stick with it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's.
I got it. I think I'd probably transition to, how many complaints do you get for speeding? And on a daily basis, or a weekly basis, or monthly basis. I would much rather take the complaints on, well, we're enforcing speeding and you're getting tickets as opposed to we're not doing anything.
I agree with you, Chief.
But, that's my standpoint. I don't mind taking those phone calls if you're speeding in the school zone. And, it doesn't, you know, I think that's one of the things.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges. I get it. School zone is different than, you know, a red light intersection on terms of safety. And I've not had any real blowback even from my ACLU types on the LPRs. You know, wherever they might be and whatever they, you know,
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because the understanding on LPRs is people are starting to understand that now. This is not to collect data or information. This is to locate vehicles that are entered into NCIC for any number of reasons. If there's a person wanting a homicide investigation, stolen vehicle, the general public or general population that's driving up down the road, it doesn't affect them because they're not associated with some type of criminal investigation.
to my colleagues, we make a bad decision. $1,500 to pull them out, big deal. $1,500 to pull them out. You know, seriously, and it's only a 2-year deal. We can look at it later.
Per month. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, per month.
Per
Yeah,
month.
per
It's
month.
70,
Short.
I believe 75.
It's about $75,000, but here's the, here,
Hang on. So a 2-year, hey, let's take that off the table. 2-year commitment. That's what we're making. Then
Councilman, if you read this, you would not want to terminate this in the 2-year period.
okay.
So if you vote for it, you can sort of stuck with it 2 years because of the cost to get out, in my opinion. So, from Mark, may have a different opinion.
So how much lead time do you need before you can get a system up and going?
if you said yes today, we might have it up by August. Because we do all the permitting through CDOT with Cleveland, TDOT. But one thing to your point about the red light cameras, we want everybody to know this is coming. It's not, hey, we're gonna put them up. We're gonna do 4 to 6 weeks public information education, then 30 days of warning, and it's a school zone. It's to help children slow down. And the greatest part about my job is I get up every day and I don't know how many people I'm saving, but I'm saving somebody's life. And that, because people are thinking twice before they go through the school zone.
Can we implement this only for arrival and departure times versus 7-4?
I would think it's a waste of time to do it that way.
Because you're gonna have the people in the middle of the day, they're gonna be speeding.
That's the way I see it. I think, like you talk about Mayfield. Mayfield has a playground that's very close to proximity to 20th Street. If you have someone going 11 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour over that speed limit, leaving the roadway, that vehicle's gonna travel a distance that's gonna cover that playground area and go through that aluminum iron fence.
Well, it's gonna have to climb a pretty good rock wall.
I think that you're looking at a vehicle that can vault into an area that, at that speed. So, I just look at it that way. I look at the fact that kids are, the school systems have them walking within a mile radius in the schools. Lifepower, we have crossing guards that are out there. That's a common reason that they quit, is because of concerns of vehicle speeding and not following their direction. You got Kennedy Creek, it's a 4-lane highway. You got Bradley Central, it's 4-lane highway. It's just, it's an automated tool that helps. And I think deters the speeding and cuts it down tremendously. But,
Are we in charge of Bradley, Ocoee, and North Lee, 3 county school zones?
where we're looking at, we look at those, but they're city roadways, so,
They fall under this agreement?
yes.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
How many locations do you have versus how many you have had that have been in existence 10 years or longer?
As far as the company goes, I've been here almost 6 years. Started out with the handhelds, and then I would say 2018 is when they started going in the ground.
I'm sorry.
2018. And nobody has ever, the only ones that we've ever taken down are the ones that they've moved to schools. Because they are a tool and they work.
Mr. Fivas, I'm okay. This is an incredibly important conversation. It's now 10 after 3. We were supposed to begin the 3 o'clock meeting 10 minutes ago. My thought is this is actually on the agenda under new business, agenda item 10B. We can continue this exact conversation under that agenda item.
That's right.
I just feel like speaking of school safety and students, we have an entire wrestling team waiting to come in to be honored for their championship, as I understand.
You're correct. Let's do that.
Okay, so without objection from the council, we're going to